What's going on, everyone? It's Mike, it's John, back again, and this is your match preview. What is going on, everyone? It is John, it is Mike, it is everyone back again. This is your match preview. It's Brighton against Everton. And what we're going to do is we're going to start with some transfer news instead, because I feel like we've been linked with absolutely everyone today through various different things. Apparently, we were in for a player that none of us knew about, blah, 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 blah. So I just want to mention some of these. Fabrizio Romano, as we know, the well-documented guru when it comes to transfers. Apparently, Everton were involved in an approach for Tidiam Gomez from Siam. Now, I know nothing about this player, so I'm not going to pretend that I do, but it looks like he's going to Leipzig anyway. So that was a shame. Marcus Edwards is still being talked about, so that's also interesting. And apparently we are still interested in Dan Neil, which, you know, still surprises me when Jobe Bellingham plays next to him, but hey, we are where we are. And the other news coming from Everton, John, and I want your take on this one, is your man Alan Irvine and Charlie Adam are now in at the club. Set piece coach, assistant manager. Let's go.
Yeah, listen, he's got all his coaching staff, his backroom staff in place now. You know, he's brought Alan Irvine in, who worked at him at West Ham. He's played at Everton. He's played for Everton. You know, he was a coach at Everton as well. Well known around the club. Everton fan by all accounts as well. So he knows what the club means to us fans, and he knows what Everton means as a whole. So I think he gets it. I think it's a good appointment by David Moyes. He's tried and trusted. I think he did have a stint with him at West Ham as well. So, you know, obviously David Moyes sees something in Alan Irvine that he can bring to the setup that he's trying to implement with the squad of players. Charlie Adam, you know, I did see Kevin Thelwell mention something today, done like a little paragraph interview, saying most clubs go down the set piece coaching role now. I think it's the first time, according to Kevin Thelwell, Everton have had a set piece coach. It's the first time we've ever used one. Obviously, it's down the line that David Moyes wants to go. He's brought in Charlie Adam, as you quite rightly pointed out, probably 7-10 days ago. He took a great free kick. He took a great set piece. Hopefully, he can bring that sort of play to the game. You know, because as we all know, Michael, at the beginning of the season, our set pieces were all right, and we were scoring goals from corners, and set pieces were getting, you know, they were getting put in the right areas in the box, and it sort of fell away. We struggle to beat the first man now, and when we do, we hit it too long. So hopefully Charlie Adam can come in and bring a bit of expertise to our set piece options when we're giving them on the pitch, and it can only be a good thing. You know, you look at some of the most successful teams in the league, and probably globally, you know, a lot of them have a set piece coach now. So obviously it's the way to go.
Yeah, don't disagree. I was just looking at some of the stats while you were rabbiting on there about set pieces and all sorts of stuff. But I was just looking at some of the stats, and, you know, Everton, you're right, you're saying set piece wise at the start of the season, we were second only to Arsenal. And it sort of, not that it's necessarily tailed off, but, you know, it does look like we can score from open play all of a sudden. So we do have different options to score, which is more positive in my opinion. But it equally means that we need to make sure that we are, we're not relying on one or the other. It means we've got to just score goals. And this is going to be a tough game for Everton. You know, we go to Brighton. Fortunate enough, last season we got a point. The season before, I think it was 5-1. but they've beat us pretty heavily at our place as well, because they beat us 4-1. There was a 1-1 draw last season, if I remember, and then they beat us 3-0 at the start of the season. So we know that they can score against us, and we know that can cause us problems. So we just need to find a goal. We just need to get a goal, 2 goals, and I think under David Moyes, I think we will look different at a 2-0 lead. Now, don't get me wrong, I was not loving the substitutions against Tottenham, but I appreciate what he's walked into. He's walked into a team that was low on confidence, isn't used to being in front, probably bottled it a little bit, but we managed to get it over the line. But this Brighton team, they've got some good players. You look at the thumbnail for this video, and Matoma, I mean, he speaks volumes. They've had some really good performances out of players like Danny Welbeck, and as much as he's been linked with a move away, even Evan Ferguson is a striker that I'd be surprised that many Evertonians would say no to, and he can't get a game. So yeah, I am worried about this game. John, what do you think of the team? What do you think it'll be?
Well, I mean, going back to what you said about the way we looked in the last 15, 20 minutes against against Spurs, and I think it was pretty obvious the substitutions were a bit hit and miss. I think David Moyes, well, obviously he's had longer to work with the players now. We've seen a training video today. He is working the players hard. I don't think Everton will make the mistake easily again what they made against Tottenham, where we looked vulnerable, that last 15, 20 minutes, they scored 2. We did look vulnerable. And again, I think that boils down to the mentality in the squad. Yeah, it's all well and good going 2-0 up, which this squad's not used to. But then we see in the other side of it where, we are very capable of caving in, if you want to call it that. We can't afford to do it against Tottenham, against Brighton, as you quite rightly say. Matoma, Welbeck, got some good players. They've got goals in them, this Brighton team. I think Everton, I don't think you see many changes on Saturday. I think we probably set up the same sort of way as what we did against Tottenham as well. It worked only for the last 15, 20 minutes. I do think we go there and we give them a game. We're not going to do a Sean Dyche performance, Michael. We've seen it, in the past where he's gone not to lose. He's gone for a point at the most, and you don't get that with David Moyes. He will be going there on Saturday to win this game. He'll set up to win, but I think he will be more careful in the last 15, 20 minutes. If it's the same sort of game as what we've seen Everton against Tottenham, I don't think he changes the team much. If he was going to, my only change would be possibly someone coming in for Decore. We've got Ibrahim back in full training. We've got James Garner back in full training. Harrison Armstrong is, looks as if he can do a job if he gets brought on. So we've got options there to change the midfield now. And I don't think he changes. I do think he keeps the same team, but I wouldn't mind seeing that change.
Yeah, I don't disagree, by the way. I'd love to see a change. I'd love to see Decore come out of this team. And, I think playing Tim further forward would be fantastic, because he can carry the ball. And I do feel like there's a goal in him, if you get what I mean. I feel like
he's capable. Start him, though, or James Garner?
Yeah, well, I just think he starts Decore. I don't think it matters. Jimmy Garner, Tim, I suspect he's going to want Garner to have probably 2 games, maybe 3 games at under 23 level, because he hasn't played in a long time. So it wouldn't surprise me if he wants him to have a few games. And look, I do get that. I do understand that. But it frustrates me because, these are Premier League footballers. And I know you can rush players back too soon, but you can also be too slow rushing them back. And we ain't got loads of options on the bench. So I'd have no problem him being in the squad at the very least. I actually would have no problem with him starting. I just don't think he does.
I wouldn't. I personally wouldn't start Garner or Ibrahim, and I'd have no problem putting them on the bench. And, we've spoke about here on this channel, Michael, about getting match fit. And the only way you get match fit, yourself, is by playing, and It's a big step up from the under-21s to Premier League. So for me, I have no problem with them both being on the bench. I do agree with you. I don't think he actually changed the teams. The team, to be fair, I think he keep the same team, and he probably gives them, depending on how the results going, about 20 minutes or something like that, half an hour, just to get a bit of fitness into them, bit of Premier League fitness, as the previous manager calls it.
I mean, yeah, the less said about that, the better. The other thing I think it's worth mentioning is the fact that it's the 23rd of January. We haven't signed a player yet. We've been linked with many. You know, there's been Chuka, I can't pronounce his name, and everyone was taking a mick out of me, but Carney Chukwuemeka or Menka, Chukwuemeka. Chuka. He has been linked. And he is a player I like. I do think there's a player in there. I think he's an incredibly talented player. Your issue is, I just don't know how it happens. And based on the fact he plays on the left, or tends to, it's kind of a position that we've got covered. You know, literally 3 of our wingers can play on the left. O'Neill, Harrison, McNeil, Harrison, and obviously Ndiaye plays there. So I don't know if it's the right move, although he's a player that I'd love to sign.
Let's put it this way. Sorry to interrupt. Just before you go on, he definitely gets in the team before McNeil and Harrison anyway. So if that's the case, do what we can to bring him in.
He does, but he doesn't get in the team over Ndiaye at the minute.
I'd be tempted to try and get Ndiaye in the middle somewhere, because as you pointed out to me, it was sort of a free roll the other day, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then I worry about the defensive structure, because Ndiaye does come back on the left. Look, fortunately, I'm not a Premier League manager, so I haven't got to decide this, but that is a tough call to me. The other thing I wanted to say, though, was it's the 23rd of January. There's 10 days left of the transfer window, give or take. This is kind of players' last opportunity to promote themselves, isn't it? You know, it's a last opportunity, one, to get in the shop window, but equally to give David Moyes a headache. You know, I want to stay at this club, blah, 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 blah. Do you think he'll look at this game and the training leading up to it and go, yeah, we need to strengthen here, we need to strengthen there, and then he moves late on deadline, for example?
I think there's work going on behind the scenes now. And listening to him in his interviews, you know, I think it's pretty obvious he does want reinforcements in. He does want certain positions with more bodies in, more options. I do think there's work going on. It could be someone we haven't even been linked with yet. It could be someone we haven't heard of. Because, to be honest with you, it does seem like Everton do try and keep their transfer business close to their chest. More than what they used to. You know, when David Moyes was here, we didn't hear of a name mentioned. And then deadline day, we signed 3 players. I think Gary Naismith was one of them. And I can't think of the other 2. Was it Fellaini or someone like that? So, if that's how David Moyes does his transfer work, then fair enough. And if it's how the freaking group do their work, fair enough. Bearing in mind, this is the first transfer window we've had under these new owners. So we don't know how they work. They might want to keep it all hush-hush. But I do think we get... I think we get 2 in. I think there'll be 2 new faces come 8 days' time. Whether it'll happen early in the week, whether it'll be deadline day, I don't know. But I do think two players will come in.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think 2 is probably about right. It'd be disappointing if we didn't get any. 1 would give us a bit of attacking reinforcement, but yeah, I think we need 2 or 3. But you know, like we discussed, was it yesterday, talking about spending money, and you know, do you almost try not to spend very much money and spend it in the summer, etc.? Who knows? We also don't know what the Everton squad's going to look like. It really wouldn't surprise me if Beto leaves at the end of January, and that means somebody's got to come in. Wouldn't surprise me at all. It wouldn't surprise me if somebody makes a late move for Calvert-Lewin as well, because you know he did show the weekend that when he plays and he's got his heart in it, he is a very capable footballer. So it wouldn't surprise me if somebody very late minute goes, right, Everton, you want that? And then Everton have sort of got their hands tied, really, because you're not going to make money for him in the summer. And I'm still convinced he doesn't sign a new deal. So then you've got a bit of a problem.
The thing is, though, if someone comes in for Calvert-Lewin and we haven't got anyone lined up or ready to go, I don't think he possibly lets Beto go. I don't think he lets Calvert-Lewin go unless we've got someone lined up. You're saying someone might come to Everton and say, here's such and such for Calvert-Lewin. It's not going to be a great deal, is it? At the end of the day, he's got, 4 months left on his contract, is it, or something like that? So it's not going to be a great deal that anyone offers Everton for Calvert-Lewin. It depends whether Everton can go, do you know what, for the sake of, what are we saying, 6, 7 million, 5, 6, 7 million? For the sake of that, we can't now bring anyone in because it's been left too late. So no, keep your money and he can go on a free in the summer if he's not prepared. 5, 6, 7 million. It's nothing when you might be left without, let's call him our number one striker, because he is. He is, isn't he? He's our number one striker. We can't afford to let him go for any sort of money if we've got no one lined up, because I'm not being funny, mate. We can't rely on Beto. Chimiti's still not in full training. It leaves us short, and we're complaining about there's a lack of goals in the team now. Granted, Calvert-Lewin doesn't burst the net every week with loads of goals, but he's an option. He's an option. So I don't think Calvert-Lewin goes unless we've got something in the pipeline ready to come in to replace him.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment as well. So look, for me, this game, look, we go 3-5-2. It's basically the same team that played last week. Decore and then Jai sort of float between the two of them. Who supports Lewin? Mikalenko's wing back. Jesper Lindstrom starts a sort of wing back, and the three at the back sort of pivot. Branthwaite at times ended up on the left side. You saw the big lad O'Brien, he ended up on the right side. So it was sort of a very much transition top game. And I think this will be exactly the same. I think it'll be tight against Brighton. I'm going to go to you because I think it's fair that you make the first call. Can you see us winning this?
I think we're capable of winning it. If you look at this Brighton team, Michael, they haven't been as good this season. And you put me right the other night. It's the first season under this new manager. Don't even know where they are in the league. I'm assuming they're 7th, 8th, 9th, something like that, around that area. I think it's a game Everton can win. And what you're saying there about the defence sort of interchanging around and, dropping in and going, that confuses teams, because when you look at it, this is a new setup for Everton Football Club under David Moyes. And as I've said many times on here, the opposition knew how Everton were going to play under the previous manager. They didn't even have to do a team talk. They didn't have to work on tactics because you knew what Everton team you were getting. Now David Moyes has come in, and as you quite rightly say, Lindstrom was a right wing back, and then O'Brien was dropping in there, and the other side happened the same. So it'll confuse the opposition. They're not going to know what they're going to get from this David Moyes team so early in his second coming. So it's a game I think we can win. I just think if David Moyes hasn't been here that long, I think I'd be happy with a point, and I think that's what we get.
Yeah, I don't disagree, and I think
1-1.
Yeah, I think it's a tough one for me because I look at the Brighton attack and I just think there's pace, there's a bit of skill, there's goal. They've got the lad Minte who we were linked with in the summer, and Batoma on the other side. They've got pace in players like Pedro and even Welbeck's been. He scored goals this season, so it's difficult to call. For me, I'll go 1-1, but I must say it's actually more in hope because it wouldn't surprise me if it's almost like a little bit of a sobering game this for Everton, and we huff and we puff, but we lose 2-1 or something. But I want to get a result. We need a result. I do rate Brighton. I think they're a decent outfit. I think they've got enough to beat us if they really, if they really put their mind to it. They're a solid side. Yeah, I'm going 1-1, but it is more hope than judgment.
What do you say about, Brighton can hurt you and they've got players capable of scoring and hurting you? I'm not big in Everton up here after a decent performance against Tottenham and a give or take one against Villa. But what I will say, the way we played against Tottenham the other night, I think we can hurt Brighton. I'm not saying we've got pace in abundance because we're crying out for pace in this team. But the way the likes of Ndiaye played and Lindstrom probably had his best game in an Everton shirt, Calvert-Lewin was up for the fight. If we see a performance like that again from him, that will give Brighton something to think about. I don't think it's going to be as easy. I'm not saying you're thinking it's going to be easy for Brighton. I think I'm just a bit more confident that we can get at least a point, whereas you're saying a point, but you think if there's going to be a winner, it'll be Brighton. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas for me, we can hurt Brighton if our main players play like they did against Tottenham. Have the outlet ball, the likes of Ndiaye, him finding the space in the middle like he did against Tottenham. Ran through the middle, he couldn't get near him, Michael. It was a great ball played into him, and he ran half the length of the pitch and finished it. As I said, Lindstrom on the right-hand side. Calvert-Lewin, be a colossus again. We need more performances like that from him. Hopefully he will change my mind. If we can see more of them performances that we've seen from Lewin against Tottenham, then I'll give credit where it's due. If he can put more performances in like that than not, then I'll probably be saying, let's see if he signs a contract, if we can get the old Calvert-Lewin back. I watched the training video today, Michael, and Moyes was talking to Calvert-Lewin just then too. The players were having a laugh, but it looked more intense as well. Do you know what I mean? But David Moyes was getting involved in the training and he was cheering them on, he was clapping them, he was getting them up for it. He was saying, good ball, you hear Bainesy shouting. It just seems a different atmosphere on the training pitch. And I honestly think, the players are going into games now under this manager happier, more confident, know what their job is. Confidence isn't at rock bottom. A manager who cares about them, a manager who will put his arm around them, manager who will talk to them like adults instead of not bothering with them. And I just think it's a different feeling around Finch Farm. And as I say, I think that's probably why I do think we could get something at Brighton.
Yeah. So Brighton's record this season, they've won 8, drew 10, and they've only lost 4. So, Brighton are right up there in terms of defeats. They're on a level par with teams like Nottingham Forest, Chelsea. They've had
a lot of draws, though, Michael, and we'd take a draw there, wouldn't we?
Yeah. So they've had 10 draws. So, yeah, I think a 1-1 is doable. As I always say, I think we're maybe slightly different in terms of the. This is a game that I could see us losing, but I hope we don't. But we'll see. This is what makes Everton exciting because, 2 years ago, we looked awful and we won 5-1. So, I never saw that coming. Last season, we literally conceded a goal last kick of the game. Otherwise, we'd beat Brighton then as well. So, this Everton team can go to Brighton and they have done, and they've put in good performances. So we will see. Let's just be excited. But John, I'll let you close out the show, but off you go.
Thank you everyone for watching. Don't forget, hit that like, subscribe button, hit the notification bell, because if there is any transfer news that comes out, we will be straight back on the Blue Boys Network and you will get a notification for it. If we're not back tomorrow, we will be back for the match reaction on Saturday after the game. Enjoy.
Spot on. See you soon, guys. Up the toffees.